So a couple weeks ago, I shared with you guys that I did end up leasing a Ioniq 6 SE rear-wheel drive for the next 2 years. And in that video, I just simply introduced you guys to the car. But in today's video, we're going to do a walkthrough and check it out. I'm going to tell you guys all about its features compared to the SEL and the limited trim. And also, we'll just take a look at the manufacturing quality here. We'll check body panel gaps. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So yeah, I bought the 2024 Ioniq 6 SE rear-wheel drive. So many of you know I've owned an Ioniq 5 SEL all-wheel drive for about 2.5 years now. And with this car, I wanted to explore what it's like to live with a base model and also what it's like to live with a rear-wheel drive EV. Prior to owning EVs, I always owned front-wheel drive vehicles or all-wheel drive vehicles. So I've never really experienced what it's like to have a rear-wheel drive car. And here in New England, we're getting less and less snow every year. So I was able to justify getting the rear-wheel drive just because we get so little snow now. And even when it does snow, I don't have to go driving in the snow unless I want to go out and have a little bit of fun. And on top of that, I got an absolutely killer lease deal on this thing. I think all in with taxes, I'm paying about $320 per month for 2 years with 24,000 miles total. 12,000 miles per year, which I'm not even going to come close to doing. So the color you see here is called Ultimate Red. Red was not my first choice. I would have definitely preferred transmission blue, but the more time I'm spending around this car, I'm actually starting to really like the red color. So you will notice from the side that there is a new modification that I've done since the previous video, and that is I got the side windows as well as the rear windshield all tinted. This tint level meets the requirements for Massachusetts, where I'm going to be moving in a couple months. So I just wanted to make sure everything was legal before I went and tinted the windows, and that's what the guy at the tint shop told me. And it really does make a big difference because these windows were all crystal clear. I don't like the heat from the sun blasting my skin when I'm driving, and I also like to have a little bit of privacy when I'm sitting in traffic. Beyond that, I did make one more modification, and that is I installed my automatic door locking module here under the driver's seat. So you'll see that after I close the door, in about 10 seconds, all the door handles will fold back in and the car will be locked. So you don't have to worry about accidentally leaving your door unlocked, especially since these are pretty obvious when the car is left unlocked. So there you can see, just locked up. And if you're interested in purchasing one of those, you can go ahead and click the link down in the description or go to my website at ioniqguy.com. So I know it's controversial and a lot of people hate the styling of this car, but I actually really like it. I think it's a pretty cool looking car. So maybe you can see it there. The door handles have LED lights in them. So when you're in a dark garage or something, you're not feeling around for that door handle. It's just really easy to see. So unfortunately with the SE trim, you don't get auto folding side mirrors, which for me now, having 2 cars in my more or less 1.5 car garage, it's gotten really tight. And I have found myself manually folding these in on occasion just to make the Ioniq 5 a little bit easier to get in and out, because that one does have auto folding side mirrors. But just walking around the car, all the gaps around the headlight, nice, looks really nice and tight, pretty consistent all the way around. Doors, looking really good. Hyundai is really good at building a car, in my opinion. Now, you might be able to see, but installed from the port is this charge port protector that's all the way around it. I honestly don't understand what the need for this is. It's not like you're taking a charger and like, woo, 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 woo. So I honestly might pull that off at some point. My dealer, Key Hyundai of Manchester, shout out to them, was also nice enough to ask if I wanted the front license plate bracket or not. And I told them a resounding no. Please do not put that on. Oh, hello. Oh, what are we doing here? And we're opening again. Okay. Cool, now I can look inside. Anything good in there? So you can see you do have the dimples here in the bumper where you would drill holes for the front license plate bracket, and holy cow, you can tell it's spring now. We're starting to get all sorts of bugs out at night. And I am noticing here on the driver's side rear passenger door, there is already a nice little scratch there. Not sure how that happened, but pretty minor. This is why I just am not anal about my cars like I used to be anymore. Cars are going to get scratches. There's nothing you can do about it. It's inevitable. Don't get bent out of shape if something does happen to your car. It's a car. It's a diminishing asset. It's going to lose value. Now you can see there's no sunroof on this car. So if you didn't already know, this is the most fuel efficient EV that you can purchase in the United States right now. This car is rated for about 360 miles of range. And most of that can be attributed to the fact that it's rear-wheel drive only, and it also has the smaller 18-inch wheel option. If you step up to the SEL or the limited trim, you're gonna get 20s, and they're gonna significantly reduce your range because of that. And then when you tack on the front motor, it's also gonna make a big hit on your range. So the top end limited trim with all-wheel drive and the 20-inch wheels really isn't that much more efficient than my Ioniq 5 all-wheel drive. They get about the same 260 miles of range. Something that's really cool about the Ioniq 6 is they used a translucent colored gray in this plastic shark fin antenna, so you can see all the electronics inside of it, which is actually pretty cool. So to help achieve that 0.21 drag coefficient, the front bumper here actually has functional air ducts, so it does direct air around here and in front of the wheel, which creates an air curtain, which doesn't allow turbulence to build up in here around the wheel, thus leading to a more efficient drive. The Ioniq 6 here does have the new flat, kind of satin metal looking Hyundai logos, which look really nice. And popping open the hood, you can see here is our front trunk. It's got a gasket around it, so you don't need the flip top lid like in my Ioniq 5. It just mates with this sealing surface here. And then something that's really nice here is you have one coolant loop for your cooling system in the car. Versus the Ioniq 5, you have both a low conductivity coolant as well as this pink coolant. So they've eliminated that loop. The EV6 doesn't have it, the Ioniq 6 doesn't have it, the EV9 doesn't have it. It's only this first generation of the Ioniq 5, which will be going away for the 2025 model year. You can see there's some sound deadening material here on the hood too, to cut down on noise. Here's where your 12-volt battery lives. It'll be interesting to see over the next 2 years what happens with that. This car should have the most up-to-date software for the ICCU, the 12-volt charging logic, everything. So this car should not experience a dead 12-volt battery, but obviously stay tuned because if it does happen, I will be letting you know. Checking out the trunk, I will say the button to open the trunk on this car is so responsive and this trunk opens very quickly. I really like that. From the port, it did come with this kind of grocery bag holder, which I really like. You don't have things rolling around in the back here. You know, for my everyday use, this trunk is more than enough. The most I ever really haul in the car is going to be groceries, so really not that big of a deal. If I need more space, I'll use the Ioniq 5. Now, unfortunately, the Ioniq 6 is not rated to tow, so I do not have a trailer hitch on it at the moment, but I am trying to get one from Stealth Hitch. They're the only one that I can find that makes a hitch for this car, and at the most, it would be used for my bike rack, which would still be very useful because I am pretty sure I'm not gonna be able to fit my bike in the trunk here, and especially if I wanna go biking with my fiance, there's no way we're gonna fit 2 bikes. So having that bike rack is gonna be critical. Hopefully I can get that soon. And you can pull the seat backs down flat with these levers, but you do have to go around to the sides to actually fold them down. Now, talking about the charge port here, now, what's nice about the Ioniq 6 compared to the Ioniq 5, you do have a little LED light in here, which when you're fumbling around with a DC fast charging cord, makes a huge difference when you're trying to align it and get the car charging. Also, compared to the Ioniq 5 in here, you have a button in here that if you hold, will cancel your planned charging schedule for the week. So say you have time of use rates for your electricity where you live, and you only want to charge from midnight until 6 a.m. If you get home after a long drive, you need to charge, you can't wait. All you gotta do is hold down this button and it will cancel your planned charging schedule. And then the one up here closes the charge port. So comparing the exterior of the Ioniq 6 SE to that of the SEL in the all-wheel drive, both of which I've shared on this channel before, there's really not too many differences. So you have folding mirrors on the higher trims. You're also going to get the sunroof on the higher trims. It's not going to be a full glass panoramic roof. It's going to be a smaller, just traditional sunroof in the front. You'll get some silver cladding on the other trims. Obviously, you'll also get the bigger 20-inch wheels that are a nice design. I think they do look nicer than these. These are very aerodynamic wheels. They're just very flat. The headlights on the SE are the same as the Limited. There's not going to be any difference on those. The SE also does have front ultrasonic sensors, so it's really a well-equipped base model. I'm not going to lie. I've driven some other base models in my previous life, and my God, they have just been missing so many features. Here, you're getting quite a bit for your money, and in my case, not a lot of money. The tail lights are the same on all Ioniq 6. You get the nice LED light bar, and then the high, bright red LED stop lamp. That's about it for the exterior of the Ioniq 6. Let's step inside though. So here inside the car, you're gonna see the biggest difference between the other versions is gonna be the fact that here on the base model, you have fabric seats. The SEL in the Limited trim will get the H-Tex leatherette, which is basically just their fancy word for vinyl or pleather. But I think they look pretty nice. For a blackish colored seat, I'm actually not that offended by these. The center section is almost like a gray color, so it's not 100% jet black. But then the rest of the interior is pretty much all black except for the speaker grills. You guys know I'm not a big fan of black interiors, but I'm willing to live with it for such a low lease payment. Now this isn't exactly a knock against the SE trim because even the top trims of the Ioniq 6 don't have really good door padding up here. So when you have your window down, which I'm still getting used to having this in the middle, you put your arm up here, or even if your window's up, and say you just want to drive with your arm up high with one hand on the steering wheel, this is just really hard on your funny bone here. It hits that point where the bone is just perfectly, for me at least, and it does make sitting in this position actually pretty painful. So I don't do that very much. The lower armrest here is a leatherette and it is padded. This SE trim does not have any of the ambient lighting that you see on the SEL and the Limited trim, so behind the door grab here and as well as under this panel here that runs across the dashboard, there is no ambient lighting. So it can be very dark in here at night. I am going to add some sort of aftermarket interior lighting just to brighten up the cabin at night. You can see I'm up to 415 miles, so this thing has not seen much in the last couple of weeks. I'm kind of holding off on driving it too much because I want to do a full range test on this before I start putting miles on it and degrading the battery. I want to get a baseline reading so that 2 years from now, we can kind of see how the battery is doing. This base model has the 6-speaker sound system. It sounds fine. You can see I've also got my Liner X floor mats installed in here. They are my go-to floor mat. Another feature the SE trim is missing is a wireless charging pad right here. Other than that, it's still a nice little storage area. I honestly don't really care about the wireless charging pad because I'm always plugging in my phone because this car does not have wireless Android Auto or CarPlay, so you have to plug it in via that front USB port. Dual zone auto climate control, it's been working well. Good size glove box. It is a drop down door style. It's got a little bin here in the front, and then the inside is just a big square. No HomeLink mirror, and it doesn't auto dim, which is kind of annoying me. I kind of wish that all trims of the Ioniq 6 had that. That's just a feature that I've had on pretty much every car I've ever owned. I might look into an aftermarket option. Over the last 46 miles, you can see I'm averaging 4.7 miles per kilowatt hour. And so far, over the last 254 miles, 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour. So pretty good. Fit and finish in here is all pretty good. I don't notice any major joints, no creaks or rattles or anything. The switchgear all feels really nice. These knurled knobs on the steering wheel, I actually prefer them over the buttons on the Ioniq 5. And I am finding the seats really comfortable. You know, I've got a pretty comfortable driving position. I do wish that the steering wheel came a little bit further towards me, especially being in a sedan in this more relaxed driving position with your legs kind of out in front of you. I just wish I could sit back and kind of have the steering wheel come out to about here. The software is all exactly the same as my Ioniq 5, so nothing really new going on here. I will say the interior of this car is extremely quiet. I think it might be quieter than my Ioniq 5, and this thing on the highway, it is just so nice and quiet. Something that the Ioniq 6 has that my 5 doesn't is a button on the inside to open up the charge port door. So if I press this button, you see the charge port door open, and I can close it from here as well. On the Ioniq 5, you have to do that from the key fob or from the button that's located on the charge port door. We've got the exact same shifter as the Ioniq 5, so it feels very familiar. Automatic headlights, which I think every single car should come with these days. That's inexcusable in my opinion. So that's the front. Let's hop in the back. So I'm seated behind myself right now, and you can see I've got a ton of knee room. This back seat is huge. This is like full-size sedan seating back here. I mean, I've never been in a sedan where I have this much knee room, especially seated behind myself. And then over here on the passenger side, I have the front seat a little bit further forward. And look at this. I've got, God, an entire hand's length. Very impressive back here. In the back here, you've got the same seat material as the front. You do have a couple USB-C ports in here. Very nice. Makes it really easy for me to plug in my phone when I'm filming from back here if it needs a charge. Unfortunately, the door panels are all very hard plastic, so if you're back here and you want to rest your arm on these armrests for a super long time, they're probably going to get a little sore after a while, but short drives, no problem. You do have the double glazed windows back here, which helps contribute to the really quiet interior. They are not auto up and down. And I actually forgot to mention, for the front seat, only the driver's window is auto up and down. The passenger seat is not. Unlike with the SE and even SEL Ioniq 5s, you actually have a folding armrest back here. Hyundai took that away for 2024. So only the limited trim now comes with a armrest, which is honestly pretty ridiculous. But I love the fact that you have a nice, big, wide, flat floor in the back of this car. It really means that the center seat is actually fairly usable if you do need to shove a third person back here. It's not the widest car, so you're going to be pretty squished unless they're really small people. But yeah, it could be worse. Got some door pockets back here to stick your phone in. Just like that, and some storage down low. You are not going to be able to fit much of anything in this water bottle pocket. I mean, you could fit like a disposable water bottle in there maybe, but that's about it. Now, I will say over the last couple hundred miles, I've had no issues with these seat belts rattling like they do in the Ioniq 5, but Hyundai did kind of think about it, and they did put these little slots in the plastic here that you can go ahead and jam that seat belt into if you are having issues with rattling. You do have adjustable headrests here in the back too. Now, the visibility in this car actually isn't too bad considering that you have this pretty big C-pillar. You do have the little cornering windows, which actually do help a little bit. As small as they are and as angled as they are, they do make a difference. So I think that's going to do it for this first kind of tour and walk around of my new 2024 Ioniq 6 SE rear-wheel drive. Really excited to have this car. I know a lot of you own the Ioniq 6, so I'm excited to bring you guys coverage. I know I do a lot of Ioniq 5 coverage, but now you guys can be a part of this channel as well. So if you do own an Ioniq 6 and you want me to do some testing or some videos on something, leave me some ideas down below. I've already got a length of probably 40 video ideas. It's going to take me well over a year to put them all out, especially considering the other press cars and the Ioniq 5 and everything else going on with this channel over the next few months. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you really want to be in the know, hit that notification bell so that you'll be alerted when my new videos go live. And if you guys like this shirt that has the Ioniq 6 charging indicator in 3D, you can go ahead and check out the link down below to my Spreadshirt shop, which has a bunch of Ioniq and EV inspired designs, silhouettes of the cars, and the charging indicators made out in 3D. So check that out as well. And obviously my store at ioniqguy.com if you want things like the automatic door lock module and the cup holder enlargers or eyewear holders specifically for the Ioniq 6. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. That always helps me out too. So as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.